The abstinence-education funding issue resurfaces in Congress, and the don't ask, don't tell battle isn't quite over. This is the CitizenLink Report. I'm Ashley Horne in for Stuart Shepard, and my guest today is Chad Hills. He is our analyst for sexual health, and so we're going to be talking a little bit about why Congress, Chad is going ahead and talking about abstinence education funding. I think most of our viewers might have thought, you know, this issue is pretty much dead. Tell us what the latest is.
Right. In 2011, we thought abstinence funding was going to completely lose all federal funds, but fortunately, Title V was reinstituted, which is funding for state-based abstinence education. And recently, a number of reports and surveys have come out, and they're showing a trend toward kids wanting to be abstinent, sexually abstinent. And so we're sitting here going, my goodness, we should capitalize on this momentum that's going in the right direction for sure. And so what we're doing is we're urging citizens to contact their representatives and ask them to sign on to a letter, a Dear Colleague letter that was written by Congressman Flores and Boren, and urge Congress to reinstitute a channel of funding for abstinence education. Let's work with the kids on this, and let's capitalize on this trend and help them make the healthiest choices possible.
And that's because we know that the abstinence education funding, even though it was somehow zeroed out, now didn't the administration make a promise that, you know what, abstinence education programs will get some kind of funding, but then in the end it turned out they didn't really get much at all, you know, under the teen pregnancy programs? That's
correct, yeah. The administration had said, well, abstinence will still be eligible under the teen pregnancy prevention program, but when applications all came in and grants were reviewed, very few abstinence programs actually got funding from that.
So the administration essentially gave lip service to maybe abstinence funding getting some kind of money, but in the end we really haven't seen that, so this is the next step.
That's correct, that's correct. And we're not going to be silent on this. We want to urge Congress to do something about this. Let's put the best and healthiest choice for our children in the forefront here, and provide some funding for that.
That's great. And a Dear Colleague letter, as you mentioned, is one where actually the lawmakers circulate a letter among their colleagues saying, hey, this is an issue that's very important to us and we want you to sign on. Actually, this letter will be going to the House Appropriations Committee chairman, is that right?
That's correct.
And so that's a great start.
Right, right. And we urge citizens to, visit CitizenLink.com, go to the Action Center, and you'll see a link there where it's real easy to contact your representative, find them, and make a difference. So
you can email, you can call on our website. Like Chad said, it's very, very easy. So hop on over to CitizenLink.com, check out our Action Center, and you'll be able to connect with your lawmaker really quick. Well, thanks, Chad. Appreciate the update. We're going to switch gears really quick and talk a little bit about the issue of don't ask, don't tell. And I think a lot of us thought this issue was pretty much over. As you might remember, last Congress, they did decide to repeal the law, commonly known as don't ask, don't tell, but it was a law that basically banned homosexuality in the military. It was a long and drawn out fight. It was a close vote. And so now we're looking at certification of the repeal. What that means is that there's some investigation going on, some retraining going on by the government towards military personnel, helping them kind of learn how to deal with this repeal and what it means, what it's going to look like when people who identify as homosexual are allowed to openly serve. I'll read this to you. The implementation of the repeal will not occur until 60 days after the President, Defense Secretary Robert Gates, and Joint Chiefs Chairman Admiral Mike Mullen certify that essentially nothing bad will happen to the military if the repeal goes forward. Now, we would beg to differ with this. We believe that the repeal was a bad idea. We did fight against it. We talked about it on the CitizenLink report many times. And so now there's a move by us and by other groups to really get the House Armed Services Committee to hold hearings to discuss what kind of detrimental effects will be happening if certification of this repeal does happen. And that means that we would have a little more time to come in and talk about the issues that we've talked about before. What will that mean for unit cohesiveness in the military, and the other issues we've talked about surrounding problems with this repeal. So we wanted to kind of encourage you. It's not yet quite over. What we do want you to do also is contact your lawmaker. We talked about this with Abstinence-Education. We're going to ask you to contact your House lawmakers again. The House Armed Services Committee needs to be encouraged to hold these hearings on Don't Ask, Don't Tell before certification of the repeal happens. And like we said earlier, that's already kind of in the process. It's taking place right now. The government's working on trying to retrain its troops so that it can come back and say, look, the 3 guys that have to certify this repeal, nothing bad's going to happen. Go ahead and certify it. And 60 days later, we have an official repeal. So make sure to contact your lawmaker. You can do that on CitizenLink.com right in our Action Center. We told you earlier, we make it pretty easy for you. You can email, you can call, you just type in your zip code. So I think that's about it. That's about a wrap for us, Chad. I know we've covered a couple different issues that we haven't before. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
And we also want to give you, let you know you can always email us, contact us, let us know what your thoughts are. You can contact us at mail@citizenlink.com. And we do appreciate anybody, anytime. We appreciate criticism, but also nice stuff too. So encouragement, criticism, let's try to balance it out. You can always let us know what you're thinking though. And as always, we want you to really pray for our elected officials. We can get on here and talk to you about calling them, encouraging them, writing them letters, but we do need to remember to pray for them. That's the most important thing we can do. And finally, as Stuart would always say to you, remember to stand tall and be heard.